and welcome to Kashmir University Video Digest Quest. First, a look at the highlights. NSS holds orientation program on disaster management. Academic Staff College organizes a 3-week refresher course in computer application. And Vice Chancellor distributes aid to affected families of Dhobigat. Now the details of these events with your host Nisha Zargar. National Service Scheme in collaboration with Disaster Management Cell, Divisional Commissioner's Office Kashmir, organized a day-long orientation program on disaster management and preparedness. The theme of the day-long program was Role of NSS Volunteers in Disaster Preparedness and Mitigation. The program was held for NSS volunteers and program officers in Gandhi Bhavan. NSS coordinator Professor Farooq Khan in his welcome address said that the orientation program has been organized to provide training to the volunteers so that they can negotiate with disasters.
How important is the volunteerism for mitigating, for having the challenges which have been put by the disaster, whether it is a natural calamity or man-made disasters. But we are not in a position to mitigate it, to face the challenge. This is the moment where we need to go and ponder and understand where we are lacking, why there is not a system where we could face such kind of challenge. How can we devise a systematic strategy for facing such kind of challenges, whether it is a tremor, whether it is some kind of a natural calamity. So we have to be every time ready for such kind of challenge.
Registrar Professor Zafar Ahmed Reshi informed audience that university is already offering PG diploma course in disaster management.
May inform all those who are here that we are as on date running a PG diploma course in disaster management in the Department of Geography. Which through the support of the Honorable Vice Chancellor, we have somehow raised it to the level of postgraduate program. We'll be having the postgraduate program in disaster management as well, which means that we are going to produce very trained human resource vis-a-vis disaster management in Kashmir. And then the capacity building, the vis-a-vis disasters is something which is very important.
Professor Rishi said that university is fully conscious of its role and responsibility towards the society.
We do organize a very large number of activities. Maybe some of you must be knowing that some time back we organized a SARC-funded a program on disasters, how differently able, what are the needs of differently able children, and then how we can prepare basically the people to serve the needs of differently able children during a disaster. I must also basically mention here that Kashmir basically has to be very sensitive to the disasters and this management. Why? Reason being that it's a tourist destination. And then imagine that if a disaster strikes Kashmir, the local population alone is not going to be affected. Instead, you are going to have thousands of tourists also affected. Kashmir University has already initiated several very substantive measures in this direction. Presumably because of the fact that the Honorable Vice Chancellor himself is a geologist, and then there are many geohazards, isn't it, which this valley is beset with. And then that is the additional impetus for us to undertake very meaningful initiatives regarding disaster management.
Addressing the NSS program officers and volunteers, Vice Chancellor University of Kashmir, Professor Talat Ahmed, told them that they have a responsibility to sensitize the society of the various disasters, adding that the best way to achieve this goal is by organizing more such programs.
We should have some sort of awareness program for the society, and the best way to reach to the society is through students, because students, they are part of the society. They go and talk to their parents, they go and talk to their neighbors, their friends. That we attended this workshop and we were told what we should do when there is fire, or what we should do when there is an earthquake, okay, or where we expect landslides and when. All right, all these type of information is very important, and it is not very difficult also to be given this sort of training.
Professor Talat also informed NSS volunteers and program officers that during the past 2 decades, due to unchecked deforestation around the catchment areas of Dal Lake, the soil has turned more susceptible to erosion.
What I have observed is that there is lots of deforestation, and then lots of vegetation cover has disappeared. So what happens is there is a natural effect of gravity, that if you have a high area and you have trees and you have greenery, that holds the soil there. Now if you cut the trees, you are going to bring those soil roll down, and they will come ultimately to our lakes. So with time, the lakes will be becoming full of silt and clay. So what will happen? It will shallow the lake.
Speaking on the occasion, Divisional Commissioner Kashmir, Mr. Shailendra Kumar, laid stress on preemptive measures and effective collaboration amongst the government agencies, voluntary groups, and educational institutions.
During my tenure as DC SRINAGAR about 10 years back, young volunteers, young ones of Rajbagh, they got associated with me, and when you will be visiting area near Presentation Convent, you will be finding a slightly different Srinagar than other areas. And that is all volunteer steps taken by the young ones of that area. And if we can have a small Rajbaghs here and there in Srinagar itself, or villages can be actually made that kind of beautiful, well organized, the lanes properly paved, along the road good beautiful trees are there, drainage system. Obviously it cannot be done by volunteers, but at least volunteers association with the administration can bring that kind of facilities to the rural areas also.
Mr. Shailendra told NSS officers to educate youth in schools, colleges and universities about disaster management, adding it can yield better results.
So what I am proposing right now is not to focus only on floods or earthquake. We have to make people aware how we'll be handling those kind of disasters if it comes and whenever it comes. But as volunteers, we can keep on contributing our due to the area where we reside. We can be from various mohallas of Srinagar, we can be various districts of Kashmir, we can be residents of various villages. So what every individual or every volunteer can do in his village, at least say 15-20 young boys, creative boys and girls, they can get into a different mode, having a larger perspective.
Program Officer, NSS and EMMRC faculty, Mr. Tariq Abdullah, coordinated the event and also conducted the proceedings of the orientation program.
NSS, the largest student volunteer organization in the world, is a unique program which gives opportunities to the student youth to develop their personality through community services. Impact due to a disaster can be reduced considerably if the community is well trained to handle such vulnerabilities. Volunteers can play an important role in the aftermath of disaster if they are trained well to mitigate such vulnerabilities. This is the idea of NSS, to provide trainings and give orientation to volunteers and NSS program officers, and it is the duty of all program officers to sensitize their volunteers in their representative institutions for this important cause.
Later, the State Disaster Response Force also held a mock drill on disaster management and preparedness. A reference guide issued by Directorate of Home Guards, Civil Defence and SDRF Kashmir was also given to participants on the occasion. Academic Staff College organized 63rd General Orientation course and a 3-week refresher course in computer application. The inaugural function of the joint courses was held in the conference hall of the college. Welcoming the guests, Director ASC Professor Farooq Fayaz informed participants that the establishment of Higher Education Commission is one of the most significant developments that has happened in higher education.
In the recent past, so far the higher education is concerned, 2 significant developments have taken place. So far, the policy planning for higher education is concerned. One is the establishment of the Higher Education Commission. And another is the preparation for RUSA. Both these developments concerned with the academic training of the faculties and the courses, the methods of articulation, the methods of evaluation have been designed in such a manner so as to respond to the needs of Indian economy, Indian society, and the body politics of India. There is enough space for faculty members to take projects worth crores of rupees, because each university will be provided some 20 crores of rupees.
Speaking on the occasion, Coordinator Refresher Course and Director IT and SS, Professor S.M.K. Kadri, said that it is always challenging for an expert to respond to the queries of participants, in which the audience is diverse.
Some of you are from arts, from commerce, and from social science, and other biological sciences discipline. So it is very difficult, or it is very challenging for our resource person to deliver lecture so that every one of you would be benefited and refreshed. So in this regard, as a course director of this refresher course in computer application, I will try my best to bring resource person inside and outside the valley.
Vice Chancellor Professor Talat Ahmed in his address told participants that the changing dynamics in higher education is going to throw up new challenges and opportunities for the teachers.
There are lots of orientation courses that has happened here and will be happening inshallah in future as well, because this is mandate from the higher education, from the UGC, MHRD, that we need to refresh the teaching faculty of different departments and colleges to face the challenges, to face the new developments that is happening in different fields. And as I have told earlier, that things have changed. Now it is not that the students will shy away and not ask questions. They may ask questions, and they may ask questions from anywhere. So in addition to your own specialization, you have to know little about everything.
Professor Talat stressed upon college and university teachers to keep themselves abreast with the latest developments so as to respond to the ever-increasing demands and queries of students.
You should be also prepared that if you are not ready with the satisfactory answer immediately, you should make a habit to get back and get the information and tell to the student to satisfy their queries. So that will make you a good teacher. And I am sure these type of efforts by the Academic Staff College is very well recognized by the state agency, by the center.
Assistant Dean Department of Students Welfare, Mr. Shaukat Shafi, proposed vote of thanks.
That not only our college teachers, our PG teachers from the PG department, but all over the country during summers, as you might have read in papers also, we organized a very huge summer camp under the guidance, and that was also a vision of our Vice Chancellor, to organize a summer camp that was organized first time in the campus and first time, I think, in the whole of the state. That was a very successful camp.
As a part of its social responsibility, the officials of University of Kashmir, led by Vice Chancellor Professor Talat Ahmed, visited the affected families of Dhobigarh. Recently, in a devastated fire, many houses of that locality were gutted. Vice Chancellor Professor Talat Ahmed, occupied by many top university officials, visited the relief camp and distributed woolen materials and checks among the fire victims. Professor Talat also handed over relief money, woolens and other material donated by National Service Scheme and Arnimal Institute of Rehabilitation, New Delhi, in collaboration with Directorate of Lifelong Learning, to the representative of the fire victims.
San tarfu yuta mumkin gasi kehnat keh gasi asun. So yeman what sata taklif am sitan ke yuzan ye saniya go immediately wonimu do na tu kare arrangement मैं वहां जाना चाहता हूं और देखना चाहता हूं कि क्या है. तो इस सिलसिले में ये कैश आपके लिए इन्होंने रखा है. ये चेक
वूलन बनियान यम डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करने गर हिसाब अगर कस गरस 5 बस 20 3 अकि दिन तुम 3 बनियान 20 दिव तुम 2 तुम थो हर गरस यह तदाद नफरी हिसाब इंसाफ मद्देनजर थी पाने डिस्ट्रीब्यूट कर
बूझ नारुक नार बाहर सूरत मार ठीक बे वंद वरिस मज नार लगन बड़ मुश्किल दुश्वारी आसन तुम ज्यादा यम सम तम दुश्वारी दूर कह अलबत् साहब को खई जाहिर की हमसाय तो मे पज ओतामत नेरुन ये मूजूब बड़ तुह सली हमदर्दी सह गई दिल ये हमसाय वमसाय ब्या नफर तिथ हाँ अलबत् जो दफ्तर तम कि अत न चीजन सर तिम इमदाद सह थो तुम ब्रोह बे तामत यूनिवर्सिटी तामत सह करो इंशाल्लाह ठीक तो हजब मकदूर तो यह कानून जायज आ ठीक परवाह कह बाहर सूरत तुहस गमस में बड़ शरीक.
With this, we come to the end of today's program. Watch the latest episodes of Quest at our website EMMRCKashmir.com. Send us your suggestions at quest@EMMRCKashmir.com. Before I take your leave, here are a few words of wisdom. Nearly all men can stand adversity, but if you want to test a man's character, give him power. That was all for today. See you in next episode. Till then, take good care of yourself. Khuda Hafiz.